Okay, let's get started. Yes. Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for attending this interview today. So, we are in San Francisco. Okay, and then please imagine there are many audience.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So, could you please introduce your name and then what do you do in San Francisco?
So I'm Nicolas. I moved here about a decade ago, and I used to work for small startups before. I joined Autodesk and then Adobe, and we decided to build this startup last year.
I see.
Yeah. So, for me, after meeting him, I went to Singapore and I had a more Asia-focused experience. So, essentially, we are on a mission to make meetings shorter for everyone. So, too many people spend hours every day in, just having Zoom or Teams meetings. We started doing research to find out, okay, what is the best angle to tackle with AI? What are the new useful use cases?
Yeah.
And we found a method to take a 1-hour meeting that you would have with your team in a company and squeeze it down to 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yes. Yeah. So this is something that we haven't seen in the market. We're seeing a gap, and every time we're pitching it, whether it's for investors or other founders, or even people just working at a company where they have this problem, we're seeing that there's an interest because everyone can understand that pain point.
The idea is that basically you can have overlapping conversations, you can rewind, and you can consume and produce information at your own pace. So it's asynchronous, but close to real time.
I see. I have a question. Yeah. So, in order to shorten about meeting, so for example, just in general, we are using Zoom or Google Meet.
Yes.
And then I don't subscribe to Zoom, so Zoom forced only 30 minutes free.
Yeah.
It forces you. Yeah. Right.
So how do you does your product to manage a short meeting?
So we're planning to do 1 hour free to begin with, and also we're working on a completely different architecture where it would be peer-to-peer and not centralized, meaning that it would not consume too much resource, and it would allow us to scale a lot without paying the major cloud providers a lot of money.
I see.
Yeah, it's for us, if you want to go in the space of meetings in general, the infrastructure cost is a lot more than what it seems at the beginning. And, when it's a young startup, you don't necessarily want to do that investment just in infrastructure because there's so many things to develop on the product itself. So it's actually Nicolas who had the breakthrough of decentralizing how the communication is made using the peer-to-peer. So we can really shave a significant portion of what we would normally have to pay to a cloud service provider.
Yeah. And in the near future, a lot of people are going to have what we call AI PCs. So we think that we're going to have a lot more computational power locally, meaning that all this AI could be processed locally in your computer and not necessarily on the cloud.
So the story is quite interesting because the company started with a purchase order. I was in Singapore and I was pitching the idea to a potential customer in the infrastructure space. And they said, okay, we'll try it. And they sent the PO, but I didn't have the company yet. So first I called them. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sign this PO, but you need to join me ASAP. And we created the company in Singapore first to be able to collect that PO. And then we opened the Delaware C Corp here in the US as our holding company.
Yeah, so I joined a few months later, and actually we had a few iterations before, coming to that idea that we presented to you. By the way, did you tell the name Hyperspeak? We haven't met.
I was waiting for the right cue to talk about the product, but maybe that was the cue.
We'll cut that.
What is this?
So Hyperspeak is the name of the product. We're still considering like, should we shorten it? Because one of the design philosophy of the product at a very high level is to reconcile the communication styles of different generations. So we often brainstorm and we collect a lot of feedback from users that have very different backgrounds. And we see that the previous generations, they like to have direct communication. So they like to receive the phone call. But the younger generations, it's considered rude to call someone without texting them first. So people bring these expectations in the workspace as well. So if I'm working on a particular task and I'm really focusing, and you want to have a conversation about the work that I'm doing, you're slowing me down. So there are these kinds of pain points. And newer generations, if we ended up calling the product hyperspeak in the end, we think that they might just contract it as hyper or something like that. So we're studying what's the best angle for the name, and we wanted to resonate with people doing professional jobs. It's actually about to start the closed beta, so by invitations only. We're inviting some people to try the product, see it for themselves. And it's also an opportunity for us to see if there are some new use cases we didn't think about. So far, previously you were asking what kind of customers we are targeting. So for the launch, at least we're going to focus where we've already been successful with the product. So we're tackling small teams within corporations. So by small teams, I mean 5 to 6 people, because as the number of participants increase, the potential of time saving is multiplied.
Yes.
So in the consulting industry, there are a lot of use cases that have been proven already. In the legal sector as well. And we know that in the developers community, there's this problem as well. So of course, for the launch, we want to focus on the demographic that's going to maximize the chances of the product to be to reach as many people as possible. But the communication needs to be very targeted, so that everyone can relate to the problem.
I see.
A lot of the startups are, especially what we've seen in Asia in the community, are focusing on their local markets. And we thought that it would be risky for us to follow the same strategy, because something that works in Asia might not necessarily work here. So we wanted to validate our assumptions by getting customers in a global environment. So United States is definitely a focus. Asia Pacific, so regions like Japan, Taiwan, and Singapore, there's a lot of interesting use cases that we're seeing, and people also have the same pain point.
If possible, I would love to know like Taiwan, Singapore, Japan, and then here in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So what is common their pain point?
I think, the common pain point that everybody has is that they don't want their time to be wasted, right? You don't want to attend meetings after meetings, and it's not productive, right? So there's something that, I noticed is that we could, cut right to the chase, and I would want to, go to a breakout room, talk to someone about what's the most pressing thing that I want to tackle during the meeting, and not have to wait 40 minutes to do so. And then I don't miss the rest of the meeting at the same time. I can still rewind and consume what has been said. I have an AI also that summarizes what everybody said. So this is very useful to have this, not so synchronized conversations, but at the same time, you're not missing anything. So that's, I think that can address a lot of, pain points that everybody has around the world. So.
Absolutely. So it's, this trend is called the future of work, because we're getting a lot of feedback that, oh my God, this could be so useful in the education sector, because doing the lectures or interacting with students in a teleconferencing setting is also a growing trend these days.
see. Yeah, it's good. Not only B2B business, like with some academic place or university, they want to use your product.
I think so, because the idea is to free basically the way you want to communicate and not to have someone to impose and drive the meeting, allocate time for people. So you always have that person in the meeting that talks for 20 minutes and everybody is like, does it even concern you? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, sometimes you just don't have time to allocate right now. So that's exactly what we're solving.
Yeah.
I think medical industry, so also they need your product, because if I am a doctor, famous doctor, I'm busy, I don't want to talk with many clients, because people want to talk to a famous doctor. So,
Right.
And then they have a good budget. Okay, next question. Did you go to Takeoff Tokyo conference?
We went to Takeoff Tokyo. Actually, I think that's where we met.
I see.
Yeah. When was that? 2 months ago, right?
It was, April.
Yeah.
How was the Takeoff Tokyo experience?
Yeah, it was a valuable experience. We saw a lot of startups, and there were also a lot of investors coming in. So from the founders, I think that we got the best insights regarding what kind of strategies we should be having, because we weren't sure. We should also include Japan in our fundraising for our seed round in the future. So we were asking advice of people who've been there. And ultimately we decided that, okay, we should really focus in San Francisco, because anyways, this is where we work the most. So yeah, it was a great experience. It was very interesting to see the kinds of technologies that Japan finds appealing, because it's completely different from what you see in North America. Because I think that the paradigm here is make something as appealing as possible, but with a great marketing design, this Apple philosophy of how you create products. But it's always very pragmatic. It solves this very niche problem extremely well. In Japan, I thought that it was a lot more abstract, and there was also a lot of things that I would consider in the fantasy, like a chatbot to simulate dating with the AI. So we found that this founder, he had a great idea, because it resonated with people so much that this is something cool. I think that it would be more rare here. Like over here, it would be a new dating app. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because over here, it's really like some of the top performing startups, even from the beginning.
There's definitely a lot of founders, a lot of CEOs, a lot of people, grinding really hard. And when you go to Asia, I feel like we were a bit more unique, being in software, AI is still, it's beginning to become something, but not quite as much as here.
Yeah. We went at the GitHub event a couple days ago. There was a hackathon, and you would see that the determination in everyone's eyes. I'm going to win. So I think that everyone here has this philosophy of becoming the best version of themselves constantly, and that does create a lot of competition here. I think in Asia, meeting a startup founder is more rare. Over here, we meet one every
5 minutes. Pretty much every day. There were several hackathons in the city. Every single day.
Hop meet up in same day.
Yeah, in Taiwan, you have to look for these things, or in Japan, I think it's not quite as common, although.
In Japan, it's going to be more rare that a founder is going to be the organizer of the event. It's always going to be a well-established venue. You say, okay, the space is going to be here. There's going to be drinks, presentations from this time. But over here, if you open the meetup, it's probably 10:30 a.m. Probably 5 founders have created an event right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Luis, Nicolas, it's last question.
Yeah.
Tell us about your dream in career and your private in 5 years and 10 years?
That's a very good question.
Forever.
Honestly, I think for me, I want to find the best work-life balance possible, and by work-life balance, I would remove work from the equation and like just do things that I'm passionate about. I think since we studied this startup, there's a lot of things that I don't necessarily want to do, but we have to do it in order to be successful. And I'm hoping that once things become more steady, I can focus on just passion. And eventually, I would love to write full time, like being a writer.
Oh, really?
Create novels.
It's your passion.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So in the longer run, and I think writing software or writing books, there's definitely a lot of overlaps because it's it's imagination.
Yeah.
Where do you want to live?
That's a very good question.
Right?
I think I would probably be in Asia somewhere. We discovered Da Nang recently in Vietnam. Da Nang, which is an absolutely beautiful place. I fell in love with it. I think it's gorgeous. The food is exceptional. The lifestyle there is great. They call it the Miami of Vietnam.
Okay, thank you. Good to know. Da Nang in Vietnam.
Yeah, check it out. Check it out.
How about you?
So dreams. So yeah, we're bringing a new proposal on the table for what is it to work in the future, or what is it to communicate in the future without annoying other people and respecting boundaries, things like that. If we're successful, it means that we would have a huge impact on people who work as professionals in so many industries. So if we can save them from that pain point and give them back all these hours back, I think this venture I wouldn't have been able to dream of a better outcome. But after, I think that most likely I would already have kids, and I wouldn't want to write, I would want to make documentaries about interesting places that I've been in this lifetime. What is it like to live over there?
You want to film?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Where would you go?
Yes, good question.
So in Japan, there's this place that really stayed with me. I went there around 2016. It's called Aogashima.
Aogashima.
It's
actually part of Tokyo. Technically.
It's actually part.
Tokyo?
Yeah.
Well, it is like 300 kilometers away at least. Yeah.
You need to go to Hachijojima first and take another little boat or helicopter to go there.
That's how he came back last time.
Yeah.
There were no boats. So.
But I just saw the picture of it and it looked so unique. So it's like a volcano inside a volcano, and there's
it's gorgeous.
Really?
And
looks like CGI. It doesn't even look real.
Yeah, it doesn't even look real. There's less than 100 people who live there. One izakaya. And,
Oh my God.
A good one.
yeah, a very good one. I tried to kusaya it over there, and there was a post office too.
Kusaya is one of the fish cuisine,
Yeah,
right?
What's the number of residents there? Like 100? Something like
less. But what I found fascinating is the relationship. The more senior people had with the younger people, because there's a full-time school over there. But by the time they graduate of high school, I think the Tokyo government gives them like a scholarship to study in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And gentleman at the izakaya was saying, well, over here the mood is very strange because every year at this time, everyone's going to go to Tokyo and they'll never come back.
Aww.
So I was like, wow, that would be such a cool documentary.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'll go with you to shoot it. For
Yeah.
sure.
I didn't know that I am living in Tokyo over a decade, but I didn't know that. Thank you so much for that. Sometimes thanks to people who come from outside, we can discover some new beauty or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I also think Japan is fascinating. It's probably my favorite country, I would say. It's just gorgeous, fascinating. There's so much to explore. Like I feel like even several lifetimes wouldn't be enough to cover Japan. There's just so much to see.
It's its own universe.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And then, so if our audience want to reach out to, so which medium is better for you? LinkedIn or
Yeah, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn for sure. Instagram, we're not super active, but we have an account.
yeah.
And if
Yes.
you want to scan this
Yeah,
QR code,
link,
yeah,
company link and your Instagram, LinkedIn link.
yeah.
Yes.
We're slowly starting to try to build our Instagram though, but it's just so difficult because it always falls on the least priority